Hi friends, today I want to talk about adapting your art form to working with brands, bringing value to them. Sometimes what they want is a little bit different than what you want, but you have tremendous value to bring to those people who are trying to make money and sell their thing. They need creatives like you. You are important. You're like a brain surgeon when someone has a brain that has a leg in it. Now, I'm pretty new to being violently intentional to adapting my work to bring value to brands. I'm just starting down that road. A couple of things I'm learning are that even though when you watch brands create content to advertise themselves, a lot of it tends to feel and look kind of the same. You and your style has a lot to bring to the table if you can figure out how to attach that thought process to your brain. In other words, if you can maintain authenticity to your style, but also add the dimension of adaptation to what brands need, you can do some really good things for them. I hate most TV commercials. They make me furious. It's a mixture of them so heavy-handedly trying to tell me exactly what their brand does in a way that they think is funny or interesting, but is painful to engage with.
Verizon Unlimited.
Thanks. Hey, Thomas, when's your flight?
Someone stole my watch.
Hey.
I literally watched an ad the other day of a giant animated fuzzball who was like blow drying his hair, I think, singing a song. The song was literally just what the brand does. And that was the whole commercial. And that was supposed to be interesting. It's almost like they gathered for a meeting and said, we have a phone plan that does not require a contract, and we need to let them know this. How do we do this? People like animated mascot people that sing songs. Why don't we make an animated mascot people that sings those words? Sounds good. $10,000. Send it to the TV people. I'm ready for lunch. On the flip side, the best creator brand collaborations that I've seen are the ones where they find this beautiful harmony between what the creator has to offer, their style, their talent, and what the brand has to offer to the consumer. When I see this done well, it makes me want to be loyal to that brand. I had a good experience with them. Perhaps I'll buy their thing, what they want. That's a little bit of what I'm learning. But I spoke with a photographer friend who has a lot of experience working with bigger brands. His name is Jeremy Cohen. He has a fantastically interesting style that works well with brand work. He's a New York City photographer that lances freely, and his hair is glorious. Hi Jeremy, how's it going?
Hey, what's up, James?
What have you been up to lately?
Besides that injury that I mentioned earlier, tearing my ACL in a soccer game, I've been doing the same old, running around shooting, although I'm kind of like limping around now. Just got back photographing Austin City Limits Music Festival in Austin, Texas, photographing for one of the sponsors, Honda. I have a couple shoots this week, small shoots, and then I'm heading to LA on Sunday for Adobe Max conference.
Oh, exciting. That's cool. Well, before we get to that, your hair's pretty rad right now.
Thank you.
We were talking about hair before we started this thing, and then we just flung our hair around a little bit, and he's like, I'm just going to keep it the way it is. I don't even care.
Yeah, it gives me some, I'm a shorter guy, so it gives me some height.
Right. Well, first off, let me tell you about what I like about what you do. What I feel like you're good at. You're able to capture very authentic and natural photos of people in their environment. I think that is your strongest strength. You have a unique style that is that when I come across it in my Instagram feed, I know it's you immediately, which is what photographers tend to always like to have, right? It's very vibrant, it's very exciting, and you've had an interesting way of adapting it to work with brands. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit with you. First off, what do you think is the value that you have to bring to brands with your work?
When I work for a brand, I make sure I give them my best. If you're going to half-ass it, what's the point? They're not going to want to hire you again, and why are you even doing it if you don't really want to do it? I think brands like to hire me or rehire me because they could trust me. They know I'll put out good work and work that, is true to me.
I think what what creatives tend to struggle with, I'm curious if you think you struggle with this, is undervaluing what you have to offer to people out there, because you do it for fun. You get up and you would do it if nobody was paying you. And so that creates this weird complex in your head where you think that what you're doing isn't all that special because you've had to fight for attention for, what you're doing, especially in the beginning, right? So to put a monetary value on that is a very weird alien concept to us.
Absolutely.
I'm curious if you struggle with that.
Sometimes I have to remind myself, like, where I'm at. Sometimes certain things seem, like, really easy to shoot, but then I realized, like, what I was shooting, like, 3 years ago and getting offered to shoot what I would be shooting today, I would consider it really challenging. So, and I feel the same way about the way I feel now as I probably will 3 years down the road. My first, like, real official shoot with a brand was in December 2014, shortly after I graduated college. It was with Beats by Dre. And
What?
yeah,
That's your first one.
I was so nervous to accept it because I thought I wouldn't do I thought I wasn't ready. And after thinking about it, I knew it was like a really good opportunity that I just had to do. I couldn't couldn't wuss out. That was the easy thing to say no.
I feel like for most people, your first job or your first brand like collaboration was with your uncle's shoe shop or something.
Totally. Yeah.
So that's pretty rad.
I think I might have had a couple other that was my first like big one.
Let's jump into some specific examples of stuff that I've seen you do, collaborations that I've seen you do that I think is quite interesting. And I want to talk about how you came across them and what your thought process was when you were going through the project. I think a good place to start is the Seradici Brandathon, because you did that, right?
Yeah.
How have you been able to get to know the great Seradici?
It's funny, in New York, creatives in New York, everyone's just so connected with each other, whether you're just like at some event or party or on the street. Like I ride my bike around a lot, so I'm just like always observing the city, and sometimes I just see people. I don't know. How did I meet Sarah though? It's such like a blurred line because so many of my friends I like know online for a while, and then I meet them in person, and it's like I feel like I already met them. It's like, oh, is this the first time we met IRL? I feel like I've talked to Sarah online a couple times before I actually met her. Yeah, to be honest, can't put a
Just a
finger on
blur
when
of
I
friendship.
actually met her. But it was probably about 2 years ago. And yeah, shortly after we met, she was looking for a photographer for her brandathon, and she asked me, and I thought it was an awesome opportunity to work with her.
Yeah, and you did a fantastic job. I think that a lot of photographers would really, in this day and age, would love to have those types of projects come their way, where it's just like you get to hang out with another creative person, go take some nice portraits, go take some environmental portraits of them in their office, this sort of thing. Maybe there's a neon peach involved. You end up with some stuff that you feel really good about, and you're able to work with people you really respect who are like your age.
It's cool working with people the same age too.
Mm-hmm. There's a cohesion there, and I think that New York City happens to be full of that right now, and I think that's so interesting.
Speaking of neon signs, I want to show you real quick my neon sign that
I see a snake on the wall.
Oh yeah, that's a reptile of some. That's a salamander.
It's like some like giant monitor lizard type thing. Pizza? Is it pizza?
Yeah, I wish I could change the exposure, but yeah,
it's the pizza right next to Jesus.
It's a pizza. Oh, that's actually this guy from the show Queer Eye, JVN.
Oh, okay.
Van Ness. He looks like Jesus though. He might as well be Jesus. My roommate just got that.
Regarding your work and how you have also worked in the dimension of motion, you tend to make some GIFs as well, and so I scrolled back through your Instagram feed and found a brand collaboration you did with Dunkin' Donuts, I think it was. It was a guy standing there with an umbrella, and donuts were falling down onto the person in the umbrella, which I imagine would be a terrible experience in real life. Probably pretty painful. They're falling from like 30,000 feet.
True.
Was that something where you were able to adapt a natural street photo that you've already taken, or that you took for this thing? Were you able just to adapt that to, like, I thought it was interesting that you just added in the donuts on what looked like a street photo.
I specifically shot that photo to animate it, so it was definitely planned out. Dunkin' Donuts came out with an emoji keyboard. Since I did a personal project in the past called Emoji Portraits, it was kind of when emojis first came out. This project was called Emoji Portraits, where I incorporated emojis into portraits that I was taking. They knew of that, and so they hired me for this, where they wanted me to do something very similar to my personal project, except with their emojis that they made, which was like donuts and like Dunkin' Donuts coffee cups. So they gave me the emojis, and I just came up with some concepts. And one of the concepts was, my friend was holding an umbrella, and I just decided to animate it. Instead of just having the donuts sitting there making it look like rain, I thought it would just make a lot more sense if I animated them. And I actually didn't really know how to do that, so I just looked up some Photoshop tutorials.
Figured it out.
Figured it out for that, and just did some trial and error, and yeah.
I think it's interesting how it, like if you're scrolling through the Explore page on Instagram, it's a street photo that you would find. You were able to adapt that in an interesting way by using motion and by adding in a little bit of intentional branding. And another brand deal that you did that I thought was interesting, because it literally felt like it was just like it was right within your wheelhouse, as they say, is T-Mobile, because you did just a street shot of some people riding some bikes. It felt very natural, and if I saw that ad from T-Mobile, I'd be like, oh, okay. I love that you're actually able to help them as a company grow because of your ability to use the gift that you've built over time. Not the gift, the talent that you've built over time, that you've put hours and hours into. For somebody who is pretty new at the photography or any creative art game, maybe they're pretty decent at what they do. They put in a lot of time and effort, but they don't really know how to take the step into getting people to work with them. Maybe their following is not so much, right? What would you recommend they do?
For myself, as a portrait photographer, my goal would be to work for, like, whether it's magazines or certain brands. I would make something that I would think that they would see and would want to hire me to recreate that in a version of theirs.
So it's almost like you show and tell before you even reach out to them.
Well, you show.
Yeah,
like,
you show.
Yeah, so like just saying you could do that doesn't really mean much. You gotta be able to show someone that you're capable of doing this type of work. No one's gonna tell you to do that. It's not like you're just gonna get assigned. You have to assign yourself something along the lines that you believe that you'll get assigned.
It's almost like you need to make them see themselves in your creation. Make that as easy as possible.
Exactly. One, you gotta go out of your comfort zone. Two, you got to make work that you enjoy, that's true to yourself, that's a story that you think needs to be told in your perspective. And three, I think, come up with a couple goals, like whether it's a brand you want to work for or a magazine or newspaper or whatever, or person or whatever it is, and then maybe think of something that they might want to hire you for, or they might enjoy seeing, that's also something that you would want to shoot and want to be hired for. And then come up with some creative concept, whether it's a project or a series or a single photo even. And yeah, even though no one's telling you to do it, like, tell yourself to do it. And with the internet now, it might be easier than you think to have this person see it.
I also think that the power of a little bit of free work and also just having one client that can give you a little bit of it, not experience, but a little bit of couple of creations that you can share with the next person. I found the multiplicative, that's a word, right? Multiplicative power of that is immense. Like, you will get done with a project and then you go, oh wait, I can reach out to this other person who does something very similar, but is maybe a little bit of a bigger brand. Now I have this work to show. And I think it's easy to underestimate the power of that.
Definitely.
The last thing I'll say is your hair right now is the raddest thing I've ever seen. It's the raddest thing that's ever existed in the universe.
Wow, that's a bold statement. Thank you.
Yeah, Yeah. I mean, the neon pizza was pretty cool, but that's the hair. The hair is a really special thing.
Well, here's another thing I want to add. Basketball season's about to start. Go Sixers. Trust the process.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, sports ball. Well, thank you for giving me the time to
Yes.
pick your brain about what you're up to.
Thanks for having me. Excited to see the video.
Have a good night, okay?
Later, James. Peace.
See ya. Okay, that's it for this one. Endless thank yous to Jeremy. I would love to hear your thoughts on the subject. I hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.